Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Yemi and I do DIY sewing videos. Today we're making a baby skirt. I have two pieces of fabric here at the moment. They're like 11 inches by 22 inches. I'm making a baby skirt for a baby that's about 6 months to 1 year. So I'm using like a waist size of 20 inches thereabout. So for the placket part, it's going to be 3 inches and 14 inches long. So this skirt is going to be gathered with a waistband and a placket with buttons behind. So I'm going to start off by finishing the hem on the front and back piece of the skirt. I'll be finishing the hem with about it to be a rolled hem, so it will be about 1 inch total for the rolled hem. So I simply folded it by 1/2 inch twice. So I did this for both the front and back piece of the skirt. So when you're done doing that, you go ahead and join your front piece and back piece together by laying them right sides facing each other. So you join them on the sides by creating side seams on both sides of the skirt. These seams are going to be about 1/2 inch wide, so seam allowance is 0.5 inch wide. You can pin them down as usual. You really don't have to, but if you want to do like I do, you can just pin it down. It just makes your work easier to do. So go ahead and sew it with seam allowance like we said earlier, 0.5 inch on both sides. Now when you're done with that, we're going to create the space for our placket now. Now I'm simply folding this skirt into two, aligning the side seams together so that they're kind of like facing each other sort of. And I'm just going to, you can pick any side to be your front or your back, so I'm picking the right side to be my back, and I'm going to pin at about 4 inches down and use my scissors to cut down up to 4 inches. So that's going to be how long my placket is going to be basically. So now I'm going to grab my placket piece. I deliberately cut extra just in case I made a mistake with when I was cutting my placket side on the back. So this is going to be like 3 inches by 14 inches. You can make yours shorter, you can make it the exact length, but I just made allowance for mistakes. Now I went on to iron it like a bias kind of. I ensured that I hit the raw edge inside, and now I'm just going to attach this placket piece to my skirt. So what I'm going to be doing is hiding the raw edge from the place I just cut on the back of the skirt, basically hiding it in the placket and using my pins to hold it down. You might find it a bit challenging to align the center part, but just be careful when you're doing it and ensure that it's hidden properly inside, and use your pin to hold it down. That way you don't make mistakes when you're sewing. So I did it from one end of the placket to the other end of the placket. I don't know if it's called placket or placket, to be honest. I never actually checked that. Now I'm going to sew along the edge, and just be careful when you're doing the center part so that it comes out neat. So I'll zoom in just to show you, give you like a close-up view of how I'm guiding the fabric slowly as I'm sewing. So I pretty much just hold it on and keep adjusting it slowly till I'm done. And now I'm done with attaching that. The next thing I'm going to do is to do the gathered waist at the top. So I kind of regretted the amount of fabric I used for this. I felt like I should have used a lot more, because I feel like the more gathered the fabric is, the prettier the skirt turns out to be. So just make sure you can decide to use about 3 times the waist length that you want to get, so that it comes out really pretty. So for me, I used about 2 times the waist, so I'm getting a waist of 20 and I used 22 for one piece, so that was like 44. Anyways, now I'm just going to cut the extra placket or placket. I'm going to cut that off first before I go on to the gathered part. And you can definitely skip this if you didn't make your placket longer. So I'm just going to pin that down and then sew around with the basting stitch. My tension is going to be 7. That's what I use when I'm doing gathered pieces. My stitch length is going to be my longest stitch length, which is 5, and then my width is 0 because it's a straight stitch, so you don't really use stitch width. So I'm just going to start sewing, and you notice that by the time you start sewing, the fabric just starts to gather on its own. You don't really have to do any pulling or anything. And I think this whole gather thing kind of depends on the fabrics. There are some fabrics that pretty much just, you still have to draw it at the end, but this one is pretty easy. So as you can see, I will not really have to like draw it for it to gather by myself when I'm done sewing. So make sure you leave like a long tailor thread at the beginning and at the end, so that you can use that to adjust the waist to your desired waist length. So now I'm just adjusting the gathers so that the waist to be as big as I want it to be. It kind of came out real small, and I needed it to be about 20 inches because it's a baby skirt for someone who's like about 6 months, and the waist is usually about 19-20, so that's what I was targeting. So whatever thread you start off with, so if you start off with your top thread, make sure that you stick to that when you're adjusting, and if you start off with your bottom thread, make sure you stick to that. So as I was adjusting this, I kind of injured myself with the pins, so be careful with your pins when you're doing this. So you can grab a glass of wine while you're doing this, because this kind of takes a very long time to get to, depending on what you're trying to get anyway. I think I paused to go eat lunch or something around this point. About say 3,000 years later, I finally measured, and I was finally done. So I got the waist I wanted, and I went on to cut my band to be the waist I needed. I added 1 inch for my seam allowance. Now I did not want to use like the interfacing that you use to like stabilize bands, because I just felt like I didn't need to do it. So I kind of ensured that my band was sort of doubled in a way. So since my waist length was 20 inches, I added 1 inch for my seam allowance, so that kind of made it 21. Now I'm going to attach my band from one end of the waist to the other end of the waist. So you can use your pins to secure this as usual, or you can just go ahead and start sewing. It really depends on you. What you're trying to do here is basically hide the gathered part, hide the raw edge of the gathered part in the band. As long as you're able to do that without the pins, you'll be fine. I just like to use pins to ensure that my work is neat and I'm not confused when I'm sewing, when I don't make mistakes. So I'm going to sew along the edge of the band from one end to the other end. And I'll be right back. So make sure you're checking at the bottom of the band when you're sewing, so that you'll be ensuring that the gathered part, the raw edge, hasn't slipped out in some way. Just ensure that it's fully tucked inside. I know you secure with pins and all, but just to be very careful and be very sure. So I also sew the edge of the band so that everything is tucked inside. Now I'm done with that, and we're pretty much almost done with our skirts. We're just left to do the buttons and the buttonholes. I have another video showing you how to do buttonholes. It's linked in the description and it's also linked in the video. So now we're done with the skirt. I'm done with that, and our baby skirt is ready. It looks pretty, doesn't it? Thank you so much for watching the video today. I hope to see you in my next video. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.